Good day, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Business Nuggets brought to you by Ascent Nominees, powered by Law Ascent. My name is Munachi Ogwayo, your ever vibrant host, and today we'll be looking at CSR, that is corporate social responsibility, and how it relates to compliance in relation to companies and how companies actually actualize their business and whatnot. And normally, as I always start every show, I always start by welcoming our viewers. So if you're an avid subscriber to this channel, we congratulate you and we welcome you on this fantastic ride. And if this is your first time, we're delighted to have you as well, and we hope that you have a seamless journey with us today. Now, without further much ado, I'd like to jump right into the topic. Now, like I said earlier, today's topic is in relation to corporate social responsibility and legal compliance. Now, some people might ask, what is CSR? What is corporate social responsibility? So corporate social responsibility just relates to, or basically talks about how companies do business in a vibrant mode in which they actually make provisions for ensuring that the community at large is not affected by what they do. So I could come again by saying that companies actually make their daily business activities with the mindset that whatever business or mode of business or form of business they are carrying out does not affect the entire society at large. Now, I'll give you a practical example. You look at the situation in the Niger Delta and the clamor for companies doing business in oil and gas sector to actually make provisions for a form of cleanup in that area. And this agitation and these cries have actually been made loud because the people residing in these areas have been subject to a lot of damaged properties and damaged infrastructures emanating from oil pollution that these companies dealing in this line of business have actually emitted by way of doing their own business. So you go to places like Rivers State, you go to places like Bayelsa, and there's a high level of oil pollution within the state and within its environs. And because most people residing in these particular areas do not have so much to live off of, they don't even have the means to speak up for themselves and to protect their areas. Now, these are one of the things that CSR as a concept wishes to fight against. So, going back to my definition of CSR as a concept, it is just ensuring that the necessary steps are being put in place to make sure that companies doing business in whatever line or chain of business they reside in, they are held accountable for ensuring that while they go about their ordinary course of business, there is a profitable and a suitable place for we as individuals to reside in, and for we as individuals to not be affected by the line of business or the line of work which they engage in. Now, let's look at corporate social responsibility as a concept in terms of its branches. So we could look at corporate social responsibility in certain respected branches. And the first one is corporate social responsibility in relation to the financial responsibility. We could look at one in relation to the philanthropical responsibility. We could look at one in relation to the ethical responsibility. Now, what do we mean by corporate social responsibility in relation to the financial responsibility, in relation to the ethical responsibility, in relation to the philanthropical responsibility? Basically, what we are saying is, when you're a company and you're organizing or going about your business, you have to ensure that the focus or your focus is not just on making profits, but also ensuring that you have the mindset of the people in living around you or around your environment to ensure that they are not actually suffering from the line of business or the line of command in which you actually work in. So, for example, if you're going about the financial aspect of corporate responsibility, there is a demand on your company or you as a business operator to ensure that the necessary financial claims that is actually on your books is actually the right financial figure that is supposed to be on record and is supposed to actually be made known to the government. So the area of corporate social responsibility coming into the financial sector is to ensure that things like fraud, things like issues in relation to loans and mortgages, and whereby people take out these options and are unable to actually meet the fulfilled conditions that were set in this agreement, and thereafter resulting in a lack of being able to pay back, or things in relation to money laundering and whatnot. When the corporate social responsibility as a concept comes into play, things like this are actually mitigated to the lowest form to ensure a form of compliance. It's the same with the philanthropical aspect as well. The philanthropical aspect just relates to very successful personnel, very successful businesses, very successful companies, ensuring that they give back to the nation, they give back to the citizens, they give back to the company, they give back to the people who have actually taken their line of business or their chain of business from the starting ground where it was as at the inception of incorporation to the position it is now in relation to it being a big player in the corporate environment. Same as when we talk about corporate social responsibility in relation to ethics. Now, ethics basically refers to the fact that you as an individual goes about your activity with a form of moral compass and a form of moral consciousness. That's just basically what it means. So, engaging a form of ethical value in what you do just ensures that you're in your own form making the necessary steps to provide a safer and better living for the community where you actually reside in. So this is just, I just tried to fit in a broad concept of CSR into a form of summarized definition. Now, how does CSR as a concept link to legal compliance? Now, this has already been mentioned in our first part in relation to the financial aspect of corporate social responsibility, but I'll come back again because it's actually an independent topic on its own. Now, I'll start this second part by saying CSR and legal compliance are two different topics. There are two different definitions, there are two different terms, they are independent on their own and they can stand on their own. Now, having said that, just like every marriage, there is a man, there is a woman, and then they come together, both individuals coming together to become one. So this same concept could be likened to that. There is a concept of the CSR, there is a concept of legal compliance. Both individual concepts that can stand on their own, and they are big players in their own areas of command. Now, just like the marriage union we use as an example, both concepts can actually come together to actually form a form of alliance or coalition. Now, what happens when legal compliance comes into a form of marriage with CSR? What we get is a form of monitoring. Monitoring as in monitoring. Now, why do we say monitoring? Monitoring in the aspect that for every business, for every company, for every individual to go about their activities in a concise and prescribed form as set by the law, they need to be legal compliant. I've used this example over time. It is almost impossible for you as a car owner to make a purchase of a car and give your car out to a person who doesn't have a driver's license to operate the daily activities of your car in terms of driving that car. Now, why this is almost impossible is because the major requirements, if not, or one of the major requirements, if not the major requirements for driving a car, not for owning a car, but for driving a car, is to have a driver's license. The same way in relation to businesses. One of the requirements for operating as a company in Nigeria is to ensure that you're legally compliant with all rules as set forth in the area of business in which you are practicing. Now, the legal compliance as a concept comes in because there needs to be a form of in-house check. I don't mean outside check, I mean an in-house check. Now, the outside check is what the authorities will do when they feel like your company or you as an individual is going against the law. But before that comes in place, or to avoid that even being a factor to be considered, there is a need for an in-house check. Now, what the legal compliance will do as an in-house check is to ensure that you as a company, you as a director, you as a driver of a boat or as a driver of a car, you as a driver of a company that's already been established, you are legally compliant. You are compliant in all forms of regulations. So what it just means is that if you as a company, an example, you as a company going about, let's say, water dissemination in relation to provision of lively stocks and whatnot, there might be a need for you to not just construct drainage channels from your building to the to outside your building. There might be a need for you to construct drainage channels from your building to the necessary to the nearest area that can actually cater for the level of water waste residue that you would be emanating from your building, so that you don't use that water that is emanating from your building as a residue to now clog the roads of the entire public, thereby causing a form of patent defect on the road, and thereby causing hardship to commuters when they are going about their daily activities, whether it be to work, to market, or to visit their friends, or even to parties. Now, this is a basic example of how legal compliance comes in to ensure that this building or this company is going about their activities the right way. I'll give you another example. In relation to, I use the Niger Delta states as an example in relation to oil pollution. Now, Niger Delta states as an example in relation to oil pollution, legal compliance as a concept could come in relation to ensuring that when you operate in the oil and gas sector in these areas, there might be a need, or there should be a need for you to ensure that the waste residue from the oil products or the oil produce in which you're actually harvesting and trying to ensure that these products are actually refined in its raw form, there might be a need to ensure that the residues, the particles, the wastes are not actually just disseminated to the entire public. There might be a need, or there will be a need, to actually create a channel that takes this residue to locations, that channels them out to locations where they can be properly wasted. Now, even when it comes to in-house as your company, in relation to that, there could actually be a form of setup concept that could ensure that these refined produces, the wastes from them, are actually used as a form of recycle, to ensure that they are not just wasted, but the waste are actually used to actually create more opportunities, to create more improvements in the society, as against causing damage in the society. And the concept of actually going green emanated from here. Now you see a lot of top companies are actually making emphasis on going away from the paper system and going more to the digital system. Even the Nigerian courts today are looking, or they've been looking for some time now, to adopt the digital form of legal enhancement in relation to court activities, whereby filings, registrations, and whatnot are done online, and even in relation to processes that are being brought before the courts are actually provided for online, as against the normal paper system that we have. And the reason for this being that paper as a product, though important to the nation, but causes a high form of inflation, causes a high form of inflammatory inflation, causes a high form of waste, causes a high form of residue that actually affects the living condition of the people. And that's why the concept of going green has never been more important than it is, or as it is today. You look at established companies like Google, Google has a concept of going green and emanating all form of waste and residue by year 2030, meaning that Google has an objective of actually having all its activities digitalized by the year 2030, and ensuring that they actually avoid any form of waste coming into the country or coming into the areas in which they reside and do business in. Now, these are just salient concepts that we can consider when talking about CSR as it merges or relates to legal compliance. So, a summary of what I've said earlier is, when you talk about CSR as a concept, it's just talking about corporate social responsibility. It's not talking about the responsibility that individuals owe to their fellow individuals. It's talking about the responsibility that companies owe to their fellow companies as well as individuals. But for a wider scope, we could also relate it as a form of social responsibility between individuals and individuals. And why is that? Because once a company has been incorporated, it becomes an artificial being that is recognized as a human being in law that can sue and be sued. So once you incorporate your company automatically becomes a human being. So if we're talking or discussing about social responsibilities in relation to companies, then it should also relate to how human beings cater for their fellow human beings as well as for the environment. And then we'll bring in another independent arm, which is in relation to legal compliance and how that helps the companies to ensure that they are actually being compliant of the set rules that have been laid down for them by themselves, to ensure that they are not found wanting or flagrant of the certain rules that have been laid down by the necessary authorities. Now, this would actually bring an end to the discussion today, and we hope that you had a fantastic journey with us so far. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to join us same time next week. We're here every Monday. And also, like I always say, you could actually consult some of our fellow sister channels in relation to asset consult, asset litigation, asset debt recovery, where we talk about a lot of stories and a lot of real life happening events in these areas. Also, we have asset real estate in relation to activities in relation to land and all matters pertaining to that. So you could give that a try as well. So yeah, comes to the end of our session. We hope you had a wonderful time, and till I see you again, I remain your lovely host, Munachi Ogwayo. Bye for now.